Welcome to HRZN Racing League Season 6, highlights of Round 5, our random round. My name is Chris, otherwise known as Screamlight, going to be taking you through the action from what ended up being Circuit of the Americas in very wet conditions at midday. Yes, this time around, not only did I draw the circuit live, but the conditions and the time of day as well, meaning the drivers had no chance to practice. But before we get into that, let's see where we stand after our first season break. HidroJax turned up for their debut and won in Belgium after also taking pole position. Following on from I'm Mate's triple the first 3 rounds, I'm Mate not present in round 4 but returns for season 5. Could he have a fight on his hands? Because HydroJax won by 27 seconds ahead of Vampire, who took driver of the day, and Tommy Ash getting on the podium. The Scottish got fastest lap, while Bunny's Vengeance, Psych Snipes, Bazza, Elijah, JJ and Andy took your top 10 positions. That meant that in the drivers' standings, the gap at the top closed between Amy Mate and the Scottish, with Six Pompano there in third. Bunny's Vengeance just behind, with Psych Snipes also hot on his heels. Bazza, Vampire, Elijah, HydroJax, AIM, Tommy Ash, JJ, Sprout, Andy, Dabasaurus, Matt Chan, Vibs, and Perpetual with points so far. And we had a new entrant in Stevie Jr., who joins the list of drivers. In Platinum, the gap now only 3 points between Amy Mate and the Scottish. Six Pompano, also not present in Belgium, remains third. Vampire and Tommy just in behind. In the gold class, Bunny's Vengeance leads Psych Snipes by a single point. Elijah not too far behind them. Sprout and Perpetual bring up the rear. Silver class, Bazza has a 21-point lead over Andy. AIM currently third with Vibs in fourth and 3 Portas fifth, but there are driver changes afoot in silver. In bronze, Thundercart JJ leads the way just before he jets off for 6 months. Dabasaurus is in second with Matchan in third. Rover yet to get any points on board. In D-Class, DRS Sign leads the way with HydroJax, Scornful Griffin, Jimmy Alex, Lewis and Joker also with points. However, DRS Sign and Lewis move up to full-time drivers. In the Constructors, Ferrari lead Haas by 6 points, who are in turn a point ahead of McLaren, who are in turn a point ahead of RB, and then it's a 20-point gap back to Alpine, then it's Williams, Mercedes, Sauber. Our reservists in 9th ahead of Aston Martin and Red Bull. And here are the driver changes we talked about. AIM and 3 Portas having to drop to reserve roles. That means that Syme moves into the Kick Sauber. Lewis takes the 2nd spot at Ferrari. All their overall driver and constructor points will remain, but their split points will reset. So that's how things stand after the first in-season break, and the drivers return to the Circuit of the Americas in conditions we've not seen since Season 4, Season 5, and with no practice or prep time. Let's take a look, though, at the circuit in Austin, Texas, that hosts the USGP. The Circuit of the Americas is 20 corners over 3.426 kilometers and the latest in a long line of United States Grand Prix venues. Lewis Hamilton has the most wins here with 6. DRS Syme took a Season 2 playoff victory, and Jacob took a home win in Season 4. As we head up the hill towards Big Red, turn number 1, it's a tight left-hander, off camber a little bit as well, just because of how the circuit gets to its peak. You can take a lot of inside curb and a lot of exit curb if you need it. Then it's into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All really quick, the American equivalent of Maggots and Beckett's, some would say. I also believe that was what they described it as the circuit was being built back in 2010. It's a lot of corners very quickly, all fairly similar in speed. It does pace out to turn 9 and then down towards 10, this little gate to the left, before another tight left-hand hairpin at turn 11. Really need to set yourself up for the long drag down here now. DRS about halfway down this long straight down towards turn number 12, but you want to take a lot of entry curb through 11 and let the car run naturally wide as you exit. Turn 12, a site of many a pass over the years and some more controversial than others. Again, you can take a lot of entry curb. Don't go too wide on exit, we've all seen what happens there. 13 and 14 is this double right-hander. You can take a shallower line if you wish, much the same with 15 and 16 where you can try and affect a really cheeky overtake if you get it right. Then it's 17 and 18, this long right-hander double apex before breaking down towards turn 19. A lot of penalties can be had here on exit. You can roll off the throttle rather than heavy brake. And then it's into Andretti at turn 20. You want to brake for this one. Get the car settled, get it pointed straight, and back up towards Big Red. So that was COTA then, a circuit I think many people have actually come to really enjoy over the last few years. Let's take a look at how our drivers line up for this one. HydroJax took his second pole in only his second race, with I'm Your Mate in second place. Six Pompanos third, with Joker getting a really solid fourth spot. Vampire in fifth, and it's Elijah, Sykes out Lewis on his Ferrari debut in eighth. Buddy's Vengeance and Perpetual round out the top 10. And the back nine of the grid is Rover in 11th, with Vibs in 12th, and it's Bazza, Davasaurus, Tommy Ashton in 15th after a poor qualifying out of Matcham, Andy, Spirit who served a quali ban, and the Scottish who once again joined late and had to start from the back. Tough conditions at a tough circuit with a very mixed up grid. Let's see how our drivers took on COTA in the rain. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and 5. A long hold, and we're racing in America. Here we are in Texas as we head up towards Big Red in the full wet conditions. We are multiple cars wide further back. I'm Your Mate tries to go up the inside into turn 1. HydroJax is holding it around the outside. Vibs already with a 3-second time penalty. It's all gone off in the back. There are cars everywhere. We've got Tommy involved. Vibs is involved. Scottish is still alive there. Perpetual and Andy have fallen back. We've got just carnage further back in the field. We've got a few angles at the start to look at with all the carnage there. Let's take a look first at Vibs, who was the cause of a little bit of it. You can see Perpetual's having some connection issues up ahead. He's got a really good start here, Vibs. He's up along the inside, and then Perpetual brakes earlier than he expects. He dives across the corner and goes into the side of the RB. Stewards deemed that a 5-second penalty by his own damage, but didn't manage to damage anyone else. And you can see everything kicking off up ahead. Drivers getting stuck together, a couple of people ghosting. But Vibs eventually makes it through and out the other end in 14th before running wide, losing a spot to Perpetual. Look at that from Bazza's POV a little further back. But watch the Williams on your left-hand side. You can see that Bazza gets a fairly decent start, but then the second phase doesn't really work out. Davasaurus comes diving through the middle, and he's got Tommy to the outside trying to make up places early. You watch Vibs there dive off to the left, and as Bazza gets into turn 1, Perpetual is ghosting about all over the shop. Everybody just comes together in the middle of the corner, and then you see Tommy and Davasaurus get connected. Bazza gets caught up in that, almost has another accident with Perpetual, but keeps it running, is taking it really cautiously, but survives. See that from Davasaurus as well, because he had a lightning start out the middle of Bazza and Vibs, and he's got Tommy on his outside and Perpetual on his inside. Perpetual does brake a lot earlier, Davasaurus taking it nice and steady, but as everybody gets through turn 1, avoiding the carnage, you can see now on the outside, there's Tommy, on the left is Sprout, Davasaurus gets caught in the middle, has to just back out.
What's happened to the black screen camera?
You can see that from Tommy's POV as well, a lot of start line angles, but a lot of action going on here. You see Tommy gets a good first launch and gets a decent second phase, really starts to pick up the speed. Goes around the outside of Bazza up towards Big Red, and he's behind his teammate at this point. Backs it off sensibly to avoid any collision. Rover, though, keeps his foot in and gets right around the outside, and as you can see, Tommy is just squeezed, has to try and avoid the Ferrari, catches Dinosaurus, nearly loses the rear, and then drifts through the next corner, but gets back up the inside of Machan, and is following Rover through this series of S's. Then with the other Aston Martin, you can see from a driver's eye view as well just how difficult it is as we head up towards Big Red. There's Dabosaurus getting up the inside, you can see the arrows everywhere. Rover does go out wide, has to avoid Lewis, who's struggling. They get a little bit connected, but then he gets past, but it's off track, so he has to back off to hand the position back, which then has everybody else stack up behind him. But again, managing to survive a chaotic turn one. There's damage. There's certainly damage for a couple of guys back there. Sprout has made it up to 9th from 18th on the grid. As the Scottish is going past Dabosaurus, Elijah trying to get past Bunny's Vengeance. That's right on board with the Haas driver. The top two have checked out. They're already 1.7 clear of Vampire, moved up to third. Bazza and Vibs trading places further back, but we'll stay with Elijah for a second as Tommy goes past Lewis. He doesn't. No, Tommy and Lewis further forward, or further back, should I say. Tommy has made it through. The Scottish is past Bazza further back, so I think it was Rover that was involved in all the carnage further back. But the top two have definitely checked out as we sit right at the tail end. You can see the Scottish looking for a pass here on, I think that's Vibs in the background, and he makes it. You can see him. We've got a yellow in sector 2. Has somebody gone round? And this is the cause of the yellow flag at the back of the field. Andy, who'd taken a nice cautious approach through the first few corners, managing to avoid most of the carnage as he's hit there. Last, but okay with it. He survived. Comes down into the heavy braking point, thinks about a move on Perpetual, maybe quite late, but loses the rear. And then he drops it on the curb. Manages to get away, no damage, but has fallen off the back of the field. Andy a little further off the back, but HydroJax leads the way by 0.2 of a second as they synchronise drift. The Scottish now past his teammate and up to 13th. Tommy from 15th to 10th. Sprout from 18th to 9th. Although Lewis has gone past both Sprout and Tommy. I think Sprout's made a mistake and he's gone backwards. Tommy and Rover side by side, the two Aston Martins as Hydro sets the fastest lap. Tommy drifts his way around the outside. As the Sprout-Tommy passes from Tommy's perspective first, you can see Sprout tries to take a wide line. Tommy gets a little bit out of shape. Both of them clip each other and both of them then drift sideways through that long right-hander. That gives Rover the opportunity to go through. There's also a little bit of contact between the two Astons, but they're sensible enough to let Tommy go with more pace. Here's Sprout's POV of it as well. We'll go a little bit further back because you can see all kind of happens all at once. He's taking it nice and steady, really trying to avoid the lower gears through this twisty middle section. But you can see the Aston Martin ranging up in his rearview mirror. He takes the large outside swing, but as he comes back across, you can see Tommy's just lost it. There's contact, they drift, there's a little bit more contact, but Sprout manages to avoid it. Lewis has taken himself through. Bazza and Vibs coming into Andretti side by side. It's been one of those first laps where everything's kicking off. It's right on board with Bazza. He's got Dabosaurus to one side of him. Perpetual left the session, might be a disconnect issue. As Psych Snipes goes past Joker further up. We've got the Scottish going past Rover into Big Red as well, I think. Let's look at that from Bazza's perspective. Lap 1 for Vibs doesn't let up. You can see he's running wide. He obviously has damage to the front wing as well, which is going to cost him. But Bazza just drifts out in the wet conditions, and there's contact. There's then contact again through the penultimate corner, pushing Bazza off the road. But Bazza keeps his Haas in exactly the right place, goes to the outside of Andretti as they touch. Vibs manages to get through, and then we'll see Dabosaurus will go past as they head up towards Big Red. Yes, we do. The Scottish is through. Sprout is falling back. He's behind Tommy now, down to 11th. Lewis, really impressive here. 9th place at the moment. Really solid driving from the Ferrari. Tommy survived the first lap. The Scottish survived the first lap as he's gone past Sproat further back, or they're side by side actually coming off the back straight, the Scottish. On the inters, Sproat on the wets. Up and under from the Scottish. What a move that is. Will stay off board because he's round the outside. Just about has enough room on the outside of the Sauber. But it'll be on the inside for the long right-hander. He's still there, Sprout. And the Scottish just blocks him out and he's through. Great move from the McLaren man as HydroJax sets fastest lap and has pulled 2/10 out as Elijah and Lewis into the final corner. Let's stay on the Ferraris on board here. Both on the wet tyres. Elijah just with more traction off of Andretti and he's through into P8. As Tommy now goes around the outside of Lewis into Big Red. Good move there from the Aston Martin. Making those places back. He's now hunting down Elijah. How's he doing? 6 Pompanos, 3.7 seconds off Vampire, who's staying within sort of touching distance of the top two. Fibs, the only person with the penalty, corner cutting in the very first corner. Don't know whether he just kind of got shoveled there as things happened as Elijah gets all out of shape. Tommy drifts round the outside. Pulls a Nelson Piquet-esque move on the Haas and will stay in this little clutch because the Scottish is now right in amongst this battle with Lewis and Elijah. Tommy's already getting away from them. Lewis not fighting that one too hard. The wet tyres maybe not working out quite so well at the moment. Tommy now on the back of Bunny's Vengeance. We're on to lap 4. This race actually going by really quickly, and Tommy just with the confidence. The intermediates, better traction off the corners at the moment. But Tommy is through. Bunny tries the up and under through Big Red, but he's not going to be close enough to do it. As the battle at the top, 0.3 of a second in it. Ivy Mate can see the Sauber just ahead. Going to be full on the button, but doesn't risk it. The Scottish now with a 3-second time penalty for track limits warnings. As Ivy Mate, is he going to go for the lead here? He's at the inside of HydroJax. They are side by side. The space is there, but HydroJax doesn't keep the nose. And I'm Your Mate takes the lead. The Scottish looks down the inside. Bunny's Vengeance just holds the line nicely. You say that's the race done. It's 1.1 at the front already, 1.2. So yeah, maybe. I'm Your Mate. Had to start behind somebody and has spent a few laps behind as the Scottish goes for a move around the outside. It's a bold move there. Is he going to make it? There's a bit of contact, but they just squeeze through. The Scottish moves into 8th place. The only other real major battle on track in the points, I think, at the moment is this one with Tommy. As he tries to hunt down Joker, who's had a good start to this one. Been right up there, qualified really well. Is Tommy going to go for the move at the end of the straight? He's going to look for it. There is contact. And then Tommy lights up the rear as Elijah's gone past Bunny's Vengeance further back. Let's watch that contact from on board with the Aston Martin. Tommy here really still trying to make up places, but he made it up to 7th after the first few laps. Gets straight onto the battery as soon as he gets to the back straight. Joker, though, pulling away. Must be using some battery there as well to defend. Tommy, practically maximum attack in these conditions. Looks for the late move to the inside. Joker's never going to see him that far back. There is contact, but Tommy backs it off. Nearly loses the rear on exit. Tommy's still chasing Joker. Let's go to 6 Pompano for a moment. Following Vampire through. Vampire, it started so very well and seems to have just fallen back into the clutches of the RB. As they head towards the back straight, the shallow line from 6. Is it going to be enough to catapult him past the Mercedes? As Tommy Attempts to go past Joker further back. Vampire's gone right offline to try and defend. Six can't make it through there. Tommy will go for the inside and this time will make it through. Is he going to stop it in time? I think he might, but Joker's going to try to say the outside. No, he won't. That move is done. Through goes Tommy. Joker still trying. Takes the shallow line to try and get up and under, but doesn't make that stick either. Sprout and Bunny's Vengeance close together on track here as well. In fact, let's go back to Six and Vampire because they're side by side and we join them just as there's a little bit of contact. Six is forced wide. 50.4 from my mate at the front. He's galloped away. He's 2.6 clear. Joker now with a time penalty for track limits warnings. Vampire and Six side by side. Fighting hard here. There's contact again. And again, there's more contact. Vampire and Six side to side contact as they head into turn one. Let's take a look here with Six and Vampire going quite a way back in the lap prior to that contact. You can see that Vampire just seems to lack a little bit of confidence. Gives Six the opportunity to get up the inside through the long right-hander, but just with the traction, they're just drifting into each other. No contact at this stage, but there's a little bump. And then it'll be another little bump into the penultimate corner as they're just trying to feel their way around. Six loses a little bit on the curbs, nearly loses the rear end. Through Andretti again, Six just far more confident, far more traction, but Vampire surely on the battery at this point to try and defend from the RB. Vampire moves across, there's a little bump, but then also that into Big Red, side-to-side contact. Both of them maybe a little reactive more than proactive. Sprout finally got past Bunny's Vengeance further back. No, he hasn't. Let's quickly go to that one. Tommy's made it past Psych Snipes.
Thank you, Brian.
And here's Sprout chasing down Bunny's Vengeance down into that heavy braking at the end of the back straight. Not quite a long time, but Bunny's Vengeance does run wide, which gives Sprout the opportunity to get up the inside. Bunny, though, uses that traction on the outside to try and fight it back through the next corner. There's a little dab of contact that you don't really see from the Sauber, but you can see Sprout is drifting it through, keeps a shallower line, keeps the Williams behind. Another pass to watch there from Tommy as he's up behind Psych Snipes. You can see the Aston is just wagging its tail through most of these corners, much like that. But as he gets through, this left-hander takes a slightly shallower line and is able to essentially shovel up behind the Alpine. Don't think there's any contact there, but it gives him the opportunity to get up the inside of the next corner, and through he goes. 49.7 from my mate must be really drying the track up. Those wet tyre runners may now be really falling off. Vampire is one of them, which might explain why Six is all over the rear of the Mercedes. They're going to have Tommy and possibly even the Scottish with them soon. As Six once again moves to the inside into turn one, and once again there's contact. I don't know if he just can't get it stopped in time or what, but Lewis is in for a pit stop.
As long as there's...
Round two of Six versus Vampire. You can see Six squirrely under power coming out of Andretti. As we head up towards Big Red, you can see that Vampire's just drifting across to try and hold the line. Vampire cannot get the braking point right and goes into the side of the Mercedes once again.
Like, I know I'm going a bit hot, but still.
Maybe making the switch early. Six now will have more contact. And now Tommy's with them as well. It's going to be a three-way battle for third. Psych Snipes, Joker and Scottish, not a massive amount of distance behind either. If this goes wrong for one, if not all of them, then they're going to get swamped. Six Noses now or never goes down the inside. Dabasaurus with a track limits warning. Look at the Aston Martin sideways into the hairpin. As we head down the straight, Vampire has got the better traction. He's going to head out that corner and they're going to be side by side once again into another hairpin. Oh, Six has forced Vampire a little wide. Tommy's going to try and take advantage of that as well. There's contact between the Mercedes and the Aston. They're drifting through corners. This is incredible racing, even if it is a little bit, probably a little bit on the edge, but Tommy's through, Six is through. And the third, and at least this point, final round of Six versus Vampire, a late dive up the inside onto the long back straight. Manages to just about slot in front of Vampire. But now he's going to be the one pulling him along. Moves across to try and stick to the middle of the circuit, so he's got defensive position into the next one. Vampire with the pace to go round the outside. But once again, Vampire this time shepherds him just off the circuit, and he's through. And that gave Tommy an opportunity as well. They'll watch the two of them up in front. You see Vampire getting just chauffeured to the apex on the outside. A little bit of contact. But as Vampire's off the road, Tommy sees the opportunity to go round the outside. There's contact there again, but you don't see it for the Aston as he drifts around the outside, once again wagging his tail through that right-hander. But he's through as Vampire takes a look to the shallow line, but doesn't make it. Tommy's up to fourth. Side Snipes, Joker and Scottish all amongst this now as well. 49.6 for Romeo Mate. He's flying out at the front. 4.7 seconds clear. Are the wet tyres actually going off here? Yeah, it looks like Side Snipes and Vampire both in. Joker now has Scottish for company. I don't think he's going to have Scottish behind him for long. Scottish a bit more circumspect into turn one, but Joker locks up and he's wide. Thank you very much, says the Scottish. Here's through into P5. Tommy's fourth, with Six Pompano in third. So now the battle on track between Six and Tommy. Let's not forget, Tommy started 15th, and he's not hanging around. He's through. Tommy moves into third. Decisive move up the inside there. Vampire, Vibs, and Sight Snipes all together. I think these guys have all pit. Vampire moved to the intermediate tyres. I think the wets had served their purpose as Vampire goes up the inside of Vibs. Nicely done. I'm out with a 49.8. Is that Vibs trying to fight back? Vibs was trying to fight back. Doesn't manage to hold it though. Bazza, Davasaurus and Mac-chan all on the road together. Doesn't look like these tyres are going to hold out the entire distance, so I think we're going to see more pit stops as we're at 10 of 28 as Mac-chan and Bazza have a little bit of side to side as... Hold on, Six has gone past Tommy. We missed it, but Six has made the move back into third place.
Oh, I just heard something fall.
Here's Six and Tommy. Tommy's managed to make it past
It's
Six
called emergency.
earlier in the race, and he's trying to chase Tommy back down towards Big Red. The Aston Martin so much further in front, but Six so confident on the brakes, gets it practically stopped as Tommy then loses the rear end. Gives Six the opportunity to just drift up the inside, and he's back into the podium.
Thank you.
May seem a bit weird to be just kind of cruising around at the back, but with points available for your classification, your split, platinum, gold, bronze, silver or bronze, or D class, for just finishing participation points, then keeping on track is going to be your best way. As Psych Snipes moves past Vibs and Mac-chan got 3 seconds added to their time. Now with Vibs, Vampire's just come out of the pits, and you can see what happened to Vibs to fall back a little further. You can see the Vampire is chasing down Rover up ahead, has fresher tyres at this point, but as he tries to go around the outside of Rover, compromises his line through the next corner, and Vibs tries to get the overspeed, goes into the back of the Mercedes, and then loses a spot to Side Snipes for good measure. Let's ride on board with Vampire as he chases down the Aston Martin of Rover. Is he going to go for it to turn one? Yep, he is. Fresher tyres, late on the brakes, through he goes as Baz has also made it past Mac-chan further back. Here we are with Bazza chasing down Matt Chan a little lower down the order. You can see Matt's gone very wide into the penultimate corner and then cuts back to the racing line, but keeps the space for Bazza as he tries to cut the inside at Andretti. There's still contact as Bazza gets on the power, but he does eventually make it past up towards turn 1. Vampire chasing Sprout. As Vampire now with the 3 seconds, just as we ride on board. Took a little bit too much curb through the middle there. And is hit with a penalty. 6 Pompano, really, of the guys fighting up near the front that aren't I'm Your Mate or HydroJax. Very much in the box seats. Without any track limits penalties. Still quite a way to go in this race. 16 to go as Vampire will now surely get past Sprout, who's still running the wet tyres. Vampire, though, absolute VMAX. Late on the brakes. Sprout's going to go back up the inside. The side by side. Psych Snipes has got past Rover further back. Vampire at the inside. There's a little bit of contact with the Sabre. They drift through. Vampire's through. Or is he? No, Sprout's still fighting it back. He's on the inside, but Vampire blocks that one out and he's through. Sprout back out on track. He's with Mac Chan and Lewis. He's right on board with the Ferrari because he seems to be struggling with Mac Chan today. There's Elijah pits. Very wide there. That lets Sprout through. As 6 and Tommy go side by side into the hairpin. I was about to say Tommy's through, but he's got the curb on the outside. He's forced wide by 6, and now the Scottish is interested as Bazza gets a penalty further back. Tommy goes the up and under through there. There's contact. You can see a bit of carbon fibre. Scottish now incredibly interested in this battle. These 3 duelling for what could be 3rd, but they've actually lost time on Joker, who again just kind of minding his own business out there at the moment.
That's an I'm Your Mate. No, he's in front of me.
Let's watch all of that on board with our 2 protagonists there. First with 6 Pompano as we head towards the breaking point at the end of the long back straight. Tommy up the inside, the Aston Martin right there, and in a great position. A little bit of wheel banging as they both try and get the traction down. But 6 back at the inside through the right-hander. You'll see now 6 in front, and he's thinking it's all done and dusted, but Tommy then absolutely sends it up the shallow line. There's more contact on the exit, but that's just from Tommy's shallow angle. And through goes Tommy there.
Spicy, I can tell you that much.
And we'll see how Tommy took that as well. You can see he's got the slipstream and the overspeed into the braking point at the end of the back straight, easily up the inside. Just a little bit of contact as the car struggles for traction on exit. But you'll see that 6 goes immediately back at the inside. Another little bump, but nothing too major. Tommy at this point might be thinking it's all done and dusted, but he goes for the absolute send up the inside. Brilliantly planned. And he's through and back into 4th.
Was that bad? That was spicy, I can tell you that much.
Let's go to Elijah and Bunny as Elijah gets at the inside of Bunny's Vengeance. Bunny's going to try the up and under though. Go for the slingshot. He's on the outside. He's still there, but he has to just cede the position. Well done there by Elijah. Kept his car in exactly the right place. Joker surely got to be coming in soon. If, of course, he's going to plan to come in. Because at the moment, kind of playing himself into a decent position as Tommy gets another 3 seconds for track limits. Joker once again stays out, not taking the pit stop here. As Tommy heads up towards Big Red, surely he's going to have the overtake done and dusted before they even get to the braking zone. Joker, though, just gently moves the car to the inside. He keeps the tight line. There's a bit of contact. And a bit of contact on the exit, but Tommy's through. And he'll be gone. Let's watch that overtake with Tommy. Joker on the no stop at this point. Still keeping those tyres alive 20 laps into the race. But as he comes out of Andretti, you can see he's lacking traction. He must be using battery to try and stay ahead of the Aston Martin. Tommy, though, fresher tyres, younger tyres, goes for the dive. Doesn't quite work it out. Gets a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. Joker's rear snaps. Tommy does go through, and all is done. Back into the podium. Six has now also got past Joker, who's still tracking on. It doesn't look in too bad condition either. It's looking fairly comfortable out there, even with a set of tyres that haven't been changed. Bazza has been passed by Lewis. As Scottish is going to go looking into Andretti, but doesn't go for it there. Thinks better of it. Joker's going to surely drop another position, but he moves across to defend. Not giving them up without a fight, which is admirable. And he stays to the inside. Is Scottish going to get up and under? Not quite. All playing into Six and Tommy's hands here, because Scottish is not going to get near him. That's right on board with the McLaren. You can see Joker struggling. Finally, there's a gap. There's a little bit of contact. But Scottish is through. Joker slips to sixth. A valiant defensive effort from the reservist HydroJax. There with Andy in perpetual. As Andy's backed off to let HydroJax through, and that's allowed perpetual past. So that's where we're at the moment in terms of where drivers are on track. Lewis now with another 3 seconds, down in 14th. That timing tower is going to absolutely go nuts at the end with people moving up and down. What battles have we got on track other than this one? Well, you've got Lewis up behind Dabasaurus and Sprout up behind Mac-Chan as Scottish had to think about it around the outside. Tries the up and under. That's worked for him today. 6-0 wise to it and just a little bit faster, but he's run wide there in the Scottish. A little bit of bump and run, but he puts the McLaren through and he's ahead. The Scottish moves up into 4th place. Is he now going to get away? Or does Six have something to fight him back? Oh, absolutely on the ragged edge there. The McLaren trying to go 3 ways through one corner. Lewis has moved past Abasaurus further back. There's a yellow, ain't there? In sector 2, that might be Lewis. Who knows? Further back in the pack, DJ Dabasaurus and Lewis. Well, right on board with Dabasaurus first. You can see he's struggling for traction through the S's, much like everybody had been throughout the entire race. But as we get up to this crest of the hill at the top, watch the Ferrari in the rear view. Dabasaurus maybe a little slow through there. Lewis sees an opportunity up the inside. Not quite there, but they connect both into the wall, both get damage. We'll watch that from Lewis's perspective as well. He was given a 10-second time penalty for this. As you can see, cuts across the curbing on the inside, collects the Mercedes, and he's into the wall. Both of them got damage from that. But Lewis then continued on, but was issued a 10-second post-race penalty. No, Lewis and Dabasaurus still fighting, but the Scottish looks to have got this one covered now. He's through. Sprout and Mac-Chan still level paying. Vibs and Rover swapping places. Vibs up the inside of Rover, but Rover's going to come back up the inside of Vibs. Wheel to wheel. Vibs is through. Lewis has passed Dabasaurus as well. Not sure what the yellow flag was in sector 2 a moment ago as Sprout goes for the dive on Mac-Chan, scares him out the way. And Mac-Chan sees the Sauber go past Rover now with a 3-second time penalty. Stay with Vampire here. Should have Joker sorted, but Joker once again just sort of moves to cover the inside. And once again holds the position but goes a little deep. There's a little hip check from Vampire. But he's through. Oh, and then he loses the rear end. That will give Joker the opportunity to come back at him, but no. Nose to tail through here, but it looks like Vampire's got the job done. Joker drops to 7th, but he's 7.7 seconds clear of Psych Snipes with a lap and a half to go. As Rover gets a 3-second time penalty, we've got Matt Chan going backwards. Oh, he's gone off. There he is, just returning to the circuit. Let's see what happens to Matt Chan then, down in 18th position, heading down the back straight towards that heavy braking zone at the tail end. Gets his braking point all wrong, all in the wrong position.
Hello, braking. Hello.
Gets right on the brakes. Doesn't get any response. Goes past the petrol managers not to collect it. It gets an additional penalty from the game. I'm your mate. Started in 2nd. Had to work for it early doors. It wasn't all his own way. But he's going to come away from the Circuit of the Americas with another victory to add to the haul. He has dominated, really, here, as Rover gets another 3 seconds. But as he rounds the final couple of corners, he heads into Andretti to make it 4 wins out of 4 starts and 4 out of 5 this season. Crosses the line backwards to win in Texas. Vibbs is across the line. He's done, as is Rover. There's Lewis, who will move ahead of Rover because of time penalties. There's Sprout crossing the line as well. HydroJax, we'll see, has just crossed the line. Tommy is going to be next as we start seeing all of it shake out with time penalties. Tommy will cross the line as 6 leaves the session right at the death. Tommy crosses the line 3rd from 15th on the grid. Great result for him. The Scottish will take 4th from 19th. The bottom end of the order is shaken out. It's Vibbs in 11th, Lewis 12th, Rover 13th. As 6 takes 4th because of the Scottish's time penalties. Vampire is going to come around Andretti to take P6. Ahead of Joker, who's going to take P7. He'll lose that. He'll slip to 8th with time penalties. Elijah's going to come home 9th. Lovely drive indeed. Elijah will be 9th across the line in the Haas, and Bunny's Vengeance will round out your top 10. Then it's Vibbs 11th, Lewis 12th, then Rover, Sprout, Perpetual, Andy, Bazza, Dabasaurus, Matt Chan. Driver of the day has got to go to Joker for a no stop in the Grand Prix. Well, our random round is done for another season. Let's take a look at the classified results from a wet weekend at the Circuit of the Americas. I'm your mate picks up from where he left off after round 3, taking victory by 15.5 seconds over HydroJax. It's another 30-odd seconds back to Tommy, who finished off the podium. Six Pompano, Scottish, Vampire, Psych Snipes, Joker, Elijah and Bunny's Vengeance here top 10, with Joker taking driver of the day for a no-stop strategy that saw him take 8th. That result means I'm your mate extends his Drivers' Championship lead over the Scottish, with Six Pompano remaining 3rd. Psych Snipes jumps Bunny's Vengeance into 4th. Then his Vampire of HydroJax moving up to 7th. Bazza, Tommy Ash and Elijah complete the top 10, with point scorers down to 22nd. And we've had another new driver join us between this round and the next. Alfie Doolan makes it driver 31 in the standings for this season. Your mate leads the way in Platinum, extending by just a couple of points over the Scottish. Six Pompano remains 3rd, but Tommy is now closing on Vampire in 5th. In gold, Psych Snipes takes the lead by 6 points over Bunny's Vengeance. Elijah just a further 12 back. Then it's Sprout in 4th, with Perpetual beginning to get a little cutaway in 5th. In silver, Bazza breaks the 100-point mark. He's way ahead of Andy. Vibbs is in 3rd, quite the distance off Andy in 2nd, and then Sign joins with 0 points, ready to take silver class by storm. In bronze, JJ is now level on points with Dabasaurus, but won't be scoring for the rest of the season. Mac-Chan not far behind in third. Lewis immediately moves ahead of Rover into fourth after his bronze class debut. And in D class, HydroJax leads the way ahead of Junker with Scornful Griffin and Jimmy your only other point scorers. Alfie Doolan joins there with Stevie. AIM and 3 Portas both drop into D class. In the Constructors, Ferrari extend the lead to 20 points over McLaren, who are just 1 point ahead of RB. Haas slipped to third, just 6 clear of Alpine. Then it's Williams, our reservist team, 7th ahead of Mercedes, Aston Martin, Sauber and Red Bull. So that was Circuit of the Americas. Round number 5 is done and dusted, and we head to Emilia-Romagna, Imola and Italy in the next round. Join us for that one, won't you? Thanks for watching the highlights. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you for the next one. Take care. Bye for now.